So the NFL season is officially here, and in this video, I want to take a look at some of the most intriguing storylines behind some of these Week 1 matchups. From Matt Stafford once again playing his former team, the Bengals potentially maybe having Jamar Chase as he possibly ended his hold-in today, and so much more right after. First up, the Denver Broncos just reset the cornerback market today when they paid all-star corner Pat Surtain II. The deal is worth $96 million over 4 years, so a 4-year extension with $77.5 million fully guaranteed. That's $24 million APY, making him the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. He's now making $3 million more per year than the next highest paid corner, Jaire Alexander, who's making $21 million a year. You got to pay your great ones, right? So PS2 is exactly that for the Broncos. Well-deserved there. Through his first 3 years in the league, he's made first-team All-Pro and is a 2-time Pro Bowler, recording 7 INTs, 36 passes defensed, and over 150 tackles. He's going to be in Denver for a long time, as he still had 2 years left on his rookie deal, and his new contract adds 4 years on top of that, meaning he's under contract with the Broncos for the next 6 years. I kind of feel bad for him a little bit, but hey, he got paid. And here's something crazy. Even with PS2 resetting the cornerback market, he's still only making as much as DK Metcalf, who is currently the 13th highest paid receiver in the league. I obviously use the term only here very loosely because it's still a piss ton of money, but the pay discrepancy between defensive backs and wide receivers is fascinating indeed. The receiver market has skyrocketed in recent years, but if you go back to 2020, Julio Jones was the highest paid receiver, making $22 million per season. Jalen Ramsey then was the highest paid defensive back, making $20 million a year. So that was only a $2 million per year difference. Well, fast forward to 2024, Justin Jefferson is the highest paid receiver at $35 million per year. And like I mentioned earlier, before PS2 signed his deal today, Jaire Alexander was the highest paid corner at $21 million per year. So pretty big difference in how the receiver market inflated versus the cornerback market. And while there's still an $11 million gap between PS2 and Justin Jefferson, the cornerback market is at least trending in the right direction with Surtain's new deal. Speaking of which, there was another corner that got paid late yesterday. Jets cornerback Michael Carter II agreed to a 3-year, $30.75 million deal with $19 million in guarantees yesterday. And this makes him the highest paid slot corner in the league, barely passing up Kenny Moore, who signed a 3-year, $30 million deal back in March. Carter was a 5th-round pick back in 2021, but has been a big contributor on the Jets' defense since day one. He's racked up 185 tackles, 23 passes defensed, and 2 INTs in his 3 seasons with the team. Now, slot corners are only on the field in certain defensive packages like nickel or dime, where the defense rolls out extra DBs, so they don't see the field as much as outside corners like PS2, hence why the contracts are considerably smaller. Don't get me wrong, they're still extremely valuable, and with this deal, the Jets lock up one of the best in the business and a key piece of what is one of the best cornerback rooms in the entire league with Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter. And before I get to some more contract news and injury updates around the league, I wanted to talk about some of the biggest Week 1 matchups and key games that I'm going to be looking out for. The Chiefs and Ravens square off tomorrow night in a little AFC Championship rematch, and the Ravens get to watch the Chiefs hang their new Super Bowl banner drop before kickoff. Both Mahomes and Lamar are 5-1 in Week 1 games throughout their careers, which is the best Week 1 winning percentage among all active quarterbacks that have played at least 2 of those games. However, the head-to-head record between Lamar and Mahomes is pretty lopsided. Mahomes is 4-1 against Lamar, with Lamar's only win coming in 2021 due to Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbling at the end of the game while the Chiefs were in field goal range, causing KC to lose by 1 point, 35-36. I say all that to say this: the Ravens are really going to want this win. Then on Friday night, the Packers take on the Eagles in Brazil in what should be another great matchup. The Eagles' biggest offseason addition was definitely Saquon Barkley, and I'm eager to see how effective he and the rest of the running game is, especially with the loss of possibly the greatest center of all time in Jason Kelce. As for the Packers, they also signed a new big-name running back in Josh Jacobs, and I also want to see how Jordan Love looks in his second season as the starter in Green Bay. Then there's a plethora of games on Sunday, of course, but I'll be curious to see how the Bengals look out there, presumably without their wide receiver 1 and Jamar Chase. He's been holding in, even though he did dress out for practice today. He wants a new contract, yet even if a new contract comes, I'm not sure it's worth risking rushing Chase out there, especially when the Bengals are just playing the Patriots. No offense to them, but we will see if Jamar Chase ends up playing and how many snaps it actually ends up being. The Texans and Colts should be a banger of a game featuring a healthy Anthony Richardson squaring off against C.J. Stroud, heading into his second year with an absolutely loaded Texans offense filled with weapons. Speaking of weapons, the Cardinals have Kyler Murray back healthy, and he's got a new, very fun target in wide receiver 1 of the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. They are headed to Buffalo to take on the Bills, who lost Stephon Diggs, and now features an attempted retooled wide receiver room featuring second-round pick Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, MVS, and Mac Hollins. They do still have Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid, but I'm ever so curious to see how Josh Allen handles the offense this season without his number 1 target in Stephon Diggs. Then the Cowboys take on the Cleveland Stains in a midday matchup, pitting Dak Prescott against Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure I care too much about this game, but with Dak in the final year of his deal and Watson so far not living up at all to the massive, fully guaranteed contract he signed back in 2022, each game matters for both of these guys. Sunday Night Football then has the Rams traveling to Detroit in a wild card rematch that should be a wild game. If you remember, the Rams lost by 1 point to Detroit as Matt Stafford returned to face off against his old team. Well, week 1 puts these two teams back against each other once again. Then Monday Night Football, this one should be fantastic as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. That's right, the Jets are going to take on the 49ers in a game that features a bunch of heavy hitters on both teams. You got players like Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Quinnen Williams, and Sauce Gardner squaring off against CMC, Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy, yes. You've got the newly paid Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Nick Bosa, and the list goes on. Great head coach versus great head coach. I love this week 1 Monday Night Football matchup personally. With all that being said, let me know some of your favorite matchups in the comments down below, and while you're at it, if you want to have some fun with these games this week, use code CBTH with Underdog Fantasy to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick'em in the lobby. Their weekly pick'ems are a blast, and you already know I'll be choosing my 5 favorite higher or lower stats on key players to win up to 20x on my money. So sign up today using code CBTH or clicking the link in the description down below. From here, there are some injury updates worth noting, as well as some more players who got paid today. For starters, Chiefs wide receiver Hollywood Brown has been ruled out for Thursday's matchup against the Ravens. No real surprise there. Then Eagles linebacker Devin White is also out of the Eagles game against the Packers this Friday night in Brazil. Apparently his name was being floated around in trade talks before roster cutdowns, as Nakobe Dean was expected to be the starter over him. So this may not be the biggest blow to the Eagles defense, but still affects their depth at the position nonetheless. Another player dealing with an injury is Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts. He was limited at practice today with a hamstring injury, and that will be something to monitor as they get closer to their Sunday matchup against the Steelers. It does have me a little concerned about Pitts playing in that game at the moment, but again, we shall see as the week goes on. Then Colts receiver Josh Downs didn't practice today with an ankle injury, and his status for week 1 is up in the air. He's been out since the middle of training camp after spraining his ankle, and as of now, it's trending in the direction of him likely being out for week 1, but if he's able to practice in some capacity over the next couple days, he could end up being a game-time decision. Another Colt that missed practice today was their kicker, Matt Gay. He's working through a groin injury, and obviously, any soft tissue injury is always concerning. Plus, I'd imagine any lower body injury is a big deal for a kicker. This could be more of a precautionary thing, but we'll see what his status looks like in the coming days. And then a few more notable players on injury reports around the league are as follows. Bears wide receiver Keenan Allen was limited today with a heel injury. Imagine that, a former Chargers player banged up. I wouldn't know anything about that as a Chiefs fan, but I do wish him the best, and hopefully he's there to ball out on game day. Then Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase was a limited participant after all during today's practice, but not due to injury. It's more to him ramping up after holding in for so long. Is a contract extension coming that Jamar wants? I have no idea. But he might potentially be playing in Sunday's game. Joe Burrow spoke to the media today, and on Chase being potentially able to play Sunday physically, this is what he had to say. Quote, "He's ready to go. I saw him out there today. He looks fast, strong like he always does. Confident if he goes out there Sunday, he will be the Jamar we all know." Well, if Jamar Chase does play Sunday, I can't imagine them giving him a full snap count. Thankfully, again, they're just playing the Patriots, so maybe it'll all be good. But hey, the hold-in is kind of over for now, and we'll see if something actually resolves for Jamar Chase and the Bengals with an actual contract extension, or does he just suck it up and play? Time will surely tell. Then the last injury to touch on, cornerback Jalen Ramsey of the Dolphins did not practice today with a hamstring injury on their report. Ramsey did miss a bunch of time with a knee injury last year, so hopefully this hamstring injury of his is rather minor and it's not another case of the injury bug. Next up, the Commanders reached a 4-year extension with standout guard Sam Cosmi. The deal is for $74 million and includes $45 in guarantees, and this has Cosmi making an average of $18.5 million per year, which puts him around top 5 as the top 5 highest paid guard at the moment. Cosmi is just 25 years old, and the second-round pick from 2021 started his NFL career as a tackle, but he switched to guard in 2023 and really stood out. He played all 17 games at guard for Washington last year and was not only the highest graded lineman on the team per PFF, but was the 6th highest graded guard in the entire NFL. So the Commanders clearly did the right thing by extending Cosmi. And with that, that's all for today, so I'll see y'all next time.